So where are you working at the moment, Aki?
I'm playing at a club downtown. I love it there.
Are you in a group?
Yeah, it's an all-female group, and we have a lot of fun. The only thing is, I start work quite late, around 10 p.m., and don't usually finish until the club closes at 3 a.m.
Wow.
But I love my music. I wouldn't give it up for anything. It keeps me feeling young. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
2.
Is this a new job, Carol?
Not really. I've been doing it for about 3 years now.
So what do you do exactly?
Well, I show clients how to use the machines, and I also work out fitness programs for each client. I have some wonderful clients.
Are they mostly young people?
Yeah, most of them are fairly young, but I also have some older clients. One lady is nearly 80, and she can still lift weights.
Really? Some older people are so fit. They're really amazing, don't you think?
Yeah, they sure are. You should come down and take a look sometime. You might like to join. 3.
So, Mina, what's it like dealing with people all the time?
Well, the customers are usually easy to deal with. Most of them are pretty friendly, and I've worked with many of them before. So I enjoy it most of the time.
Okay.
And they're excited about where they're going and what they're going to do. But sometimes they complain. They didn't like the hotel, the tour was boring, the flight was too long, everything was too expensive. Things like that.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But I wish I had enough money to travel like they do.
4.
So, Danielle, is it something you always wanted to do?
I guess so. I really love looking at styles and colors and seeing all the latest fashions. And of course, it's satisfying to help people look their best. It makes them feel good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that must be nice.
When I started here, all I did was sweep the floor. But now I cut and do everything.
Are all of your clients women?
Most of them are, but sometimes men come into the salon too.
5.
So how long have you been in this line of work, Kim?
Oh, I've been doing this job for about 10 years now.
Have you seen a lot of changes since you started?
Yes, I have. When I started, only men did this job. Nowadays, there are a lot more women doing this job, you know?
Really? And what kind of shows do you work on?
I work mostly on the news, so sometimes I work in the studio, and sometimes I go out on the street with the reporters. It's a great job.
So what kind of job have you been thinking about?
Actually, I'd like a job working with children.
Do you like kids?
Yeah, I think when you work with kids, it gives you lots of energy and keeps you feeling upbeat. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, that's true.
I love kids, and I've always wanted to work with them. But I don't want to be a teacher.
You don't?
No, I think teaching sounds like too much hard work. I'd like a job where I have a lot of fun.
2.
Are you interested in sales work?
I don't think so, but I do want to find a job where I work with people. Actually, I've been thinking about the beauty industry.
The beauty industry? Like fashion modeling?
Not really. I'd like to work in a salon. I'd enjoy working with people one-on-one, and I like working with my hands.
Standing up all day wouldn't bother you?
Not really. And it's nice to work in a job where you help make people look beautiful.
3.
Are you interested in office work? Perhaps something in the IT field? There are a lot of vacancies lately.
No, I don't think office work is for me. I get really uptight when I'm stuck inside for too long. You know what I mean? I think I'm more of an outdoor person.
Okay, so we need to find something that keeps you outside as much as possible.
Yeah, I like fresh air, even when it's really cold. And I like being active. I don't like just sitting or standing in one place.
4.
Have you thought much about the kind of work you'd like to do?
Well, I'd like to work at home if I could. I believe there are lots of opportunities these days to stay at home and make money.
So working in an office doesn't appeal to you?
No, I don't want to work in an office. I really want to work alone. And I'd like to do something creative.
Maybe in IT?
Yeah, I'd like to do something with computers.
5.
Are you interested in sales or teaching?
Not really.
So what kind of work are you interested in?
I'm not sure. I know I love traveling. I want to go to other countries and see different cities and maybe learn other languages.
Okay. Do you know any foreign languages?
Not yet, but I wouldn't mind learning some. I hope I can get a job that takes me around the world.
Some older people are so fit. They're really amazing, don't you think?
It keeps me feeling young. You know what I mean?
It makes them feel good. You know what I'm saying?
Nowadays, there are a lot more women doing this job, you know?
I think people in the IT field make way too much money.
I'm not sure about that.
2.
I think being a flight attendant must be one of the worst jobs in the world. You have to deal with lots of weird people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
3.
I don't think men can really be successful designers of women's clothes. You have to be a woman to know what women like to wear.
Oh, but some of the best designers these days are men.
4.
I guess if you're a teacher, you always keep up to date with things. You have to be one step ahead of your students, don't you think?
Yeah, I'm sure that's true.
5.
I don't think there's much of a future in being a website designer. I mean, even kids in kindergarten design websites these days. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
6.
I'd hate to be a hairstylist. Imagine standing on your feet all day and cutting hair and listening to people's problems.
Oh, it doesn't sound too bad to me.
The first thing I want to emphasize is the importance of making a good impression when you enter the room. You should look your best. Greet the interviewers politely. Sit straight in the chair and look as relaxed as you can. And make sure you're well prepared. Before you go to the interview, find out as much as you can about the company, what they do, and so on, and about the job they're advertising.
Is it good to ask about the salary they're offering?
Not too early in the interview. Wait and see if they bring up the topic. If they don't, you can raise it at the end of the interview. And remember, always be professional in the way you talk. Don't tell jokes or anything like that. And when they ask questions, don't just give short answers. Give full answers, and give as much information as you can, of course, without taking up too much time.
Can we ask them about how much vacation time they offer?
Again, save those kinds of questions until the end of the interview. You need to show that your main interest is in the job itself. And present yourself positively. Don't give negative information about yourself, saying, I can't do this, I'm not good at that, and so on. Always emphasize what you are good at. Now, you will also have the chance to ask questions, but make sure you ask smart questions. For example, about the company, about how they deal with competition from other companies, and so on. Don't ask silly questions, such as why their building is painted blue, or whether they serve real coffee or instant coffee in the staff room.
Does that mean it's not good to ask about the company's health insurance policy?
No, that kind of question is fine. It's also important to ask questions about career development.
Are you saying that we can ask questions about promotions within the company?
Yes, that's a good kind of question to ask because it shows you have a long-term interest in the company. Another thing to remember is to practice before you go for the interview. Have a friend or family member ask you questions and practice giving good answers.
Have you ever worked in a department store?
Yes, I worked in a department store last summer.
I see. Does that mean you enjoy sales work?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And what section of the store did you work in?
I worked in the women's clothing section.
What did you enjoy about working there?
Well, I'm very interested in fashion, and I loved seeing all the latest trends.
Does that mean you studied fashion in college?
No, I studied marketing, but I've always been interested in fashion.
Good. And did you have any difficulties with the work?
Not really. It took me a little while to learn how to deal with credit card sales, but I really enjoyed the work, and the people I worked with were very nice.
And why are you interested in this job?
Well, I'd enjoy working here. It's a beautiful store, and I want to work in sales.
And do you plan to stay in sales work?
Well, one day I'd love to become a buyer for a department store. I'd love to go to fashion shows and buy new clothes for the store.
Interview 2.
So, you have some experience working in a hotel?
No, I don't, but I've worked as a receptionist. I worked as a receptionist in an office for a year before I took my present job at a travel agency.
I see. Now, this job is for someone to work at the front desk. You would have to meet the guests, check them into the hotel, and so on. Do you think you could handle that?
Oh, yes, I think so. Did you say that you have a training program for new staff?
Yes. We give you 3 weeks of training, then you learn the rest on the job.
That's fine. I'll need that.
And how are you with computers?
Well, in my present job, I use computers all the time, so that's not a problem for me.
Good. And why are you interested in this job?
Well, I like my present job, but I've always wanted to work in a hotel. Also, I speak French and Spanish, so I'd like to be able to use my language skills with customers from different countries. I think working in a hotel would be more interesting than working at a travel agency. And I'd like to take on more responsibility.
Do you mean that you'd like to try something more challenging?
Exactly.
It's also important to ask questions about career development.
Are you saying that we can ask questions about promotions within the company?
I worked in a department store.
Does that mean you enjoy sales work?
I'd like to take on more responsibility.
Do you mean that you'd like to try something more challenging?
I've hardly ever used a computer, to be honest.
Are you saying you've never used one?
2.
I'd prefer working outdoors to working in an office.
Does that mean you wouldn't work indoors?
3.
I've always been interested in sales work.
Are you saying that you worked in sales before?
4. I'm learning Japanese in my spare time.
Do you mean that you're studying it by yourself?
5.
This is the first job I've ever applied for.
Does that mean you have no work experience at all?
6.
I work in a department store every Saturday.
Do you mean you have a part-time job?